Saints interim head coach Darren Rizzi recaps loss at Green Bay. Ladies and gentlemen, Darren Rizzi has, let's see, he's got this, he's got the Raiders game, he's got the Bucks game. So this is one of the last times we'll see Darren Rizzi address post-game because I would assume the Darren Rizzi experience / Darren Rizzi experiment is over. I would assume that after one of the worst performances, maybe ever, one of the worst performances maybe in the history of the NFL, this whole idea of Darren Rizzi potentially being the head coach is over, and the team has failed him, or has he failed the team? I guess it depends on who you ask, but, vibes and high energy and culture and clogging up toilets and whatever, that can only get you so far. And Matt LaFleur showed what an actual coach looks like. The Green Bay Packers showed what an actual franchise looks like and what an actual NFL team looks like, something the New Orleans Saints are currently not. So let's go ahead and listen to Rizzi, see what he had to say.
This game, and we really didn't accomplish any of those goals. We obviously lost the turnover battle, which was number one. Number two, we really felt like we had to have a fast start to the game.
And very rare, but the turnover battle was not the issue. That was absolutely not the problem. The problem was the 17-play, 10-minute drive that the defense allowed on the second possession of the game. The other problem was the first possession where the Packers, just completely dominated the Saints. But that 17-play drive was the game. The defense was completely broken. The pride was sucked out of the team. And the Green Bay Packers completely did whatever they wanted for the better part of 10 minutes for 17 plays and 96 yards. So that was the problem. The problem wasn't the turnover battle.
That's something they had done very, very well. And then the last thing was win the line of scrimmage. We didn't do that on either side of the football. So that was kind of our formula for success. We didn't attain that, coaches or players. So naturally very disappointed in the overall result.
These always blow my mind whenever you're so far away from winning the line of scrimmage. Like, could you imagine if a high school team played Georgia and Georgia won 56-0, and the high school coach was like, "Yeah, I don't know, we just didn't win the line of scrimmage." It's like, brother, what? Win the line of scrimmage? Like, you weren't even within the same stratosphere of each other, much less win the line of scrimmage. Like, crazy to hear.
Certainly not what I expected in the least. But we had a lot of self-inflicted wounds there in the first half. And for 2 weeks in a row, we only had 14 or 15 plays again in the first half, and dug ourselves a hole, and couldn't get off the field defensively, and couldn't convert and continue to sustain success on offense. So we certainly played a little bit better in the second half. But listen, if you can't.
Again, like if I boxed Floyd Mayweather and I never touched him and he just, dominated me for 10 rounds, and then after the fight I was like, I don't know, a lot of self-inflicted wounds early. It's like, no, my man, you just got your ass kicked. Like, self-inflicted wounds, 17 plays, 10-minute, 96-yard drive.
Obviously, you come away with no points. You have 0 chance to win the game. So, overall, like I said, just a disappointing day. We got to look to rebound. We got a short week here, so it's going to happen. It's going to come quick, like I just said to the team. So we got to make sure we lock back in and get ready to go. So.
This is the first time since you become head coach that the team just wasn't competitive on either side of the ball. Kind of what you touched on, about what would you attribute that to?
This is just classic audio from the New Orleans Saints YouTube channel. Sounds like our reporters are in a wind turbine.
Touch on about what would you attribute that to? Do you feel like they came out flat?
So we switched to NewOrleans.football's video to see if it was better. And sounds like it's the same. So it must be some kind of an air-conditioned situation, a heater situation. Not sure what's going on, but looks like it is what it is.
Kind of what you touched on about what would you attribute that to? Do you feel like they came out flat in this game?
No, I think we did it to ourselves in a lot of ways. Listen, we had them in third and medium, third and long, two different times in the first quarter, and jumped off sides on both of them. give them a third and short situation. Our goal was to get these guys into some third and longs. That's something they hadn't done a great job of. And when we did get them finally into those situations, we didn't. And then offensively, obviously we turned the ball over twice. Again, we had some self-inflicted. We jumped off sides a couple times. And so just, a lot of it we did to ourselves. So there were some spurts, where they were short spurts, unfortunately.
Never saw a spurt. I mean, did y'all see any spurts of anything positive?
Where we did some good things, but just overall not good enough. So
the best thing the Saints did, the best thing that happened was when the game ended. That was the best thing for the Saints, was to get them back on the plane and get them back to New Orleans. And I hope no one said a word on that plane ride. I mean, just a despicable performance.
Listen, I'm still very, very proud of our effort. It wasn't a competitive game, but certainly not by the score.
Darren, what effort? Whose effort were you proud of? The only person that you should be proud of is me, because I streamed for over 3 hours in front of 500 plus people talking about this game, watching this game, where a sane person would have turned the game off and done something else
whatsoever. But I didn't see a lack of effort or anything like that on the field.
Darren, was Eric pulled just because the game was starting to get away a little bit, or was it?
Yeah, McCoy got hurt early. McCoy was in and out early on, and then he got pulled. I mean, yes, it's an absolute blowout. If someone's hurt, if someone's has an injury, why
he tried to come back and play, and it just felt like he wasn't going to be able to function like he normally functions.
No one functioned on the team.
That's why it wasn't. Had nothing
the
to do with
entire
the
team didn't function.
It was, doesn't matter what the score was, he was going to come out. Just he tried to come back, and it just wasn't feeling full strength in that arm. So, listen, there was
no idea what the question was. That was a supersonic boom coming down, unbelievable.
There were some good moments, but just overall, I mean, we can't turn the ball over, like I said.
There were good moments.
You saw some flash plays. I thought he made a couple of really good plays, but then we made a couple of really
wasn't talking about
bad
decisions.
But
Rattler had one good play, and that was the jump ball. That was an insane throw. That was a straight-up Derek Jeter, Nomar Garcia-Parra, just insane throw. That was the only good thing the Saints did literally all day.
Like I said, we didn't help them much. So I think it was an overall team situation. We dropped some passes. We dropped some balls on them, which could have helped us. And made the overall product look a lot better, and maybe make his performance look better. I'll have to watch the film and really reevaluate it. But
God,
we missed some pass protection.
Could you imagine rewatching that film?
The fumble in the first half, we blew a pass protection, so a guy.
The fumble. I mean, the offensive line. That was one of those ones where the offensive line served up Rattler on a silver platter to Green Bay's defense.
It was free, and the whole play gets kind of blown up, and we make it worse by turning it over. So. It certainly wasn't all on him.
Riz, at the end of the first half, that 3rd and 6, did you guys think that fumble out of bounds, like 31 seconds came off the clock?
So Rizzi had, I mean, this is, in his situation, it's something that you cannot do, is lose control over the infrastructure of the game. Up until this point, I have liked what Rizzi's done operationally. I feel like he has had a good handle on timeouts. He's had a good handle on 4th downs, on 2-point conversions, on kicking or not kicking, whatever. In this situation, ball goes out of bounds. The clock stops when the ball is out of bounds. Once the ball is back into play, the clock starts again. Rizzi seemed confused by that. Rizzi seemed like there was some bad miscommunication. I don't know if the referee told him clock stops or what, but he let 15-ish seconds run off the clock after previously letting 10 seconds off the clock, burned 2 timeouts, wasted 20-plus seconds, and then the next thing happened was the Saints took a sack to get out of field goal range, and it just looked bad. It looked bad for Rizzi. It looked bad for the operations. It looked bad for the infrastructure of what they were doing.
Yeah, what happened there, Nick, was when the play, if you go back and watch the play, both covering officials, ruled the clock stopped I had asked the covering official, if the clock was going to remain stopped. I got a yes, and I turned back to talk to the offensive coaches and kind of talk about our plan there and what we were going to do there, at the end of the half. And then they decided that he fumbled the ball forward, and it just wasn't communicated to me that the clock had restarted. So we lost some precious, valuable time there. So that's what happened.
Yeah, I mean, long story short, he just kind of lost control over the situation, which as a head coach, you can't do.
Darren, when you're missing as much as you are offensively, like, do you need the defense to carry you in that type of game? And like, was the tackling and all that stuff defensively good enough?
Well,
you don't need. I mean, like, again, like you don't need the defense to quote unquote carry you, but you need the defense to exist. Giving up a 17-play, 96-yard, 10-minute drive is not existing.
I would say this. I mean, I would say it doesn't matter who's playing. We have to do a better job stopping the run. I mean, naturally, I think we gave up 190 yards rushing on 5.5 yards a carry. So, regardless of who's playing on offense and regardless of who's out, that's just not good enough.
Yeah.
We dressed the 48 guys that we dressed. We're not going to make excuses. You guys know me well enough by now that. Not going to make excuses about that. We didn't perform well enough. So, as I just said to the players, we can allow the excuses to creep in, and we all know the guys we're missing. I got it. But, we had 48 professional football players out there today, just like they.
I kind of disagree with that. I mean, I don't believe a lot of the players playing are professional level football players. And they should not be starting. They should barely be rostered. And the fact that this is who we are forced to roll out every single day or every single week is embarrassing. That's it. I mean, I've said this ad nauseum, but I don't think a lot of these players play at the top college level. I really don't. I don't think a lot of these players would start at multiple teams that are in the playoffs right now for college.
They didn't, and they didn't play very well. So, and we didn't coach very well, and the whole thing wasn't very good.
I know it's just when you go back the next day and watch Spencer, how do you account for all the guys who are missing and all?
Well, listen.
The question is, when you're evaluating Spencer, like, how do you account for all the people that are missing?
Certainly, if there's different pieces out there, the game might look a little bit different. Naturally, I understand the question. At the same time, we'll evaluate that. So if there's balls that we felt like should have been caught, or there's protections that should have been had, things like that. That's not going to be on the quarterback. So, like I said, it's not all encompassing. Sometimes that can be skewed. I thought he had a couple of good passes, but he also made a couple of poor decisions. So.
Yeah, I mean, I had this question during the stream. It's like, how do you evaluate this? How do you look at Kubiak? How do you look at Rattler? And I mean, yeah, I definitely agree. Like when you have. And it is hard because on one hand, it's like, yeah, this is a horrible performance. On the other hand, it's like, well, how much do you expect? What do you expect Clint Kubiak to do with some of these players? What do you expect this offense to look like? On one hand, on one hand, yeah, it's horrible. And I think Kubiak and Rizzi will suffer the consequences of these kind of performances, even if it isn't totally their fault. Like Joe Woods, the defense and offense is usually what gets the questions, but Joe Woods and the defense should be really getting the questions here, because when you look at the offense, like a lot of the players I'm talking about, the Jordan Mims, the Kendra Millers, the Bub Means, the Mason Tiptons, when I keep referencing those players, the Connor McGovern when he was on the team, that's all offensive. But when you're looking at defensive, yeah, we're missing some pieces. Yeah, Lattimore got traded, but they don't really have the built-in excuses that the offense does. You look at our defensive front, Brian Brzee, Saunders, Granderson, Cam Jordan, Chase Young, they're there. You look at our linebackers, Pete Werner, Demario Davis, Willie Gay. You look at our secondary, Kool-Aid, Alante Taylor. You look at the safeties, Tyran. Like, those guys are there. Those starters are there. So why is the defense this bad? Kubiak is going to get a lot of the questions. Rizzi's going to get a lot of the questions. Joe Wood should be getting the defense should be really, 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 really on Front Street after this performance. Because when you're rolling out Jordan Mims is your main guy in the backfield, a guy who was waived earlier this season, is our main guy getting the most touches on the team. Mans was unemployed this season when, Dante Pettis, Cedric Wilson, Mason Tipton, when those are your guys on offense, okay, I can understand how that will equate to not a great performance. But the defense, what is the defense's excuse? They're old? What is the defense's excuse?
That those will get evaluated each play on its individual basis.
And what was up with Kendra Miller tonight? His catch?
Well, I think the way
Question was, why was Kendra not playing? I've explained this a million times. He can't pass protect, so on high tempo, 2-minute type situations when you're not substituting, they play Jordan Mims or Jamal Williams, who has an ability to pass block. So that's why he's not playing on those possessions.
the game played out, we dug such a hole. I think we had a plan for Kendrick coming in, and we got into a lot of a 2-minute drill and things like that.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why you saw more of Jordan Mims there. Because of just the way the game played out, we got out of a lot of regular down and distance situations. Once we got into a 3-score situation, we had to be in a little bit of a 2-minute mode, and so that's why you saw all those guys get reps there. Jordan, Jamal, and Kendrick.
There's something about Kendra that is ready for 2 minutes.
No, I'm not saying that. No, I'm just saying our game plan for this particular game didn't play out the way we wanted it to.
Question was, does that mean Kendra is not not part of the 2-minute drill, which obviously he's not.
Do you feel like y'all are physical enough, or is that part of what happened today?
Well, I think some of the old, defensively, I think some of the old problems that we had maybe earlier in the middle of the season kind of crept back. We had done a really good job, on run defense in the last couple of games, particularly versus the Giants and the Commanders. But these are some of the things we saw prior to that game. Some of the runs, some of the missed tackles, some of the yards after contact. Listen, Josh Jacobs is a phenomenal player. I'm not going to take anything away from him. He's one of the best guys in the league at yards after contact. But overall, their entire rushing performance is not a good formula for success for us. Anytime a team rushes the ball 37 times and has a 5.5 yards a carry, like I said, doesn't really matter who's on the other side of the ball. That's not going to be a good formula. So we got to find a way to get that corrected.
Yeah, the question really isn't are we physical enough? The question is are we good enough? And the answer to both is no.
I know you said felt like the effort was good, but you guys were eliminated from the playoffs yesterday. Sounds that crept in at all?
Yeah, I've never felt like since the day I took over, we were on a 7-game losing streak. It would have been easy for a lot of a lot of players and veteran guys especially to kind of check out. And I've never ever felt that. I didn't feel that today. I thought. To be honest with you, I had a great prep week. We had a great walkthrough last night. I felt like we were locked in. We just didn't perform well. Let's just, sometimes in this league that's going to happen. We didn't have a very good performance. But I never felt like our guys are looking down the road and not giving effort because of our playoff status. I never felt like that one time during this time I've taken over. I didn't feel like that tonight. I feel like we got out coached and out executed. It's the way it is.
That's worst case scenario. It's like the best case is just be like, yeah, they checked out. Yeah, that's why we had a bad effort. Yeah, we quit. Like that. Okay, all right, I can understand that. That sucks. Like that is not good, but okay. The harsh reality, which give her his credit, he accepted it. But the harsh reality is like, yeah, we just got whipped. We just got beat in every single way, and that's it. It would have actually been, I think, a bit of a security blanket to say, like, yeah, being eliminated from the playoffs. Yeah, okay, but good prep week, played hard, good effort, and then you get blanked and you get that performance. It's a tough pill to swallow.
How do you kind of regroup the last 2 weeks with no playoffs and coming off a performance like this?
Yeah, we got to go. This counts for one loss. That's what it counts for. So we got to go back to doing the things we've been doing well this last month or so, and understand that's how we're going to climb back and come back and try to get a win this week. Listen, we got a lot of younger players playing right now. That's no secret. So there's to be able to evaluate a lot of those guys. from the quarterback right on through all the rest of the positions. So there's a lot of guys. There's guys out there. There's a lot of guys that are playing for something. But like I said, I have not witnessed one time. We've made plenty of mistakes, but effort wasn't one of them. So I've never felt like that. So I wouldn't, in my mind, that wouldn't be any different than this coming week.
It was a really tough week as far as like scheduling. If you think about it, like Saints go Monday Night Football. Obviously, one of the worst performances in human history. Come back Christmas Eve, go right into Christmas Day. So there's not going to be any practice or walkthrough or any of that stuff on Christmas Day, Christmas Eve. You play Monday. So then you're not really probably in the facility until maybe the day after Christmas. And then you have you're already on short rest. But then you have to deal with the travel. You have to deal with the holidays. So you're not going to do anything on Saturday or Sunday, right? So really you have Thursday and Friday to prep for the Raiders. Like, that is a crazy bad spot for the Saints.
Was there any progress with Derek Sand the last couple of days, or is he still kind of the same place?
Yeah, there was. He actually had he's starting to get some grip strength back and some functionality back in the hand. It just wasn't good enough again for this week. We're gonna the players' day off this week is gonna be Christmas Day. They'll be in shortly tomorrow, and then Christmas Day will be the day off, and then we'll resume practice again Thursday. So hopefully with a couple more days here, we can kind of see where he's at. But there was an improvement this week. It certainly was a better week than the previous one. So we'll kind of play it and see where he is come Thursday.
What happened with Nathan Shepard before the game?
So he had a very unique situation. We were at the hotel about to leave to come over here, and he was dealing with something with his eye. And he got down here and was able to see the doctors and the trainers, and it was just a situation where he just wasn't able. He had some pain in his eye and some function, and he really couldn't wear his contacts. He couldn't really see very well, and so we made the decision. It was a last minute thing. I just found out literally about it as we were getting on the buses to come down here. So just an unfortunate situation. So we made a decision because we had a couple of defensive tackles that were going to be inactive anyway, and so we made the decision just to activate somebody else because he wasn't going to be full go. So
I always wonder about that. Like, you never hear about that happening, but like, could you imagine like the day of the Super Bowl or something, like Patrick Mahomes wakes up and he just has like an eye infection, or he can't like put his contact in, or he can't do whatever like that? I'm surprised it doesn't happen more, because I mean, I know like for me, just as a human being, like you can wake up and all of a sudden, just be like, wow, I can't see out of my eye. I have pink eye, or I've got, whatever. Like, it's crazy that it doesn't happen more in the NFL, where, something like that happens to where a player can't play because it's just a fluke illness or a fluke thing that happens.
He was having some problems seeing, and had some pain in his eye. So
Is that anything that could linger into next?
it doesn't. I was told by the medical staff that it should be short term, but it just was unfortunate. Certainly unfortunate timing for tonight. So.
And MVS was more about the illness, or the?
It was really more about the injury. The illness definitely prohibited him from the rehab process, and definitely prohibited him from the practicing. And so just with the whole equation there, just felt like it was in his best interest, not to play tonight, because he missed a lot of practice time because of both. So.
There you go. Horrible performance. Disgusting. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your holidays. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.